Hi, Nancy Forster here, Executive Director of Canada's National Emotional Freedom Techniques Training Institute. And I'm here today with Gillian Small. Hi, Gillian. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you for having me.
It's great. I asked Gillian if she would do one of our EFT Unplugged series of videos where we're talking to people who are actually leaders in the field and working with EFT on a daily basis. But Gillian is a graduate of NEFTI's certification program, and we've known each other for quite a while, and I've been so excited to watch her journey. She's a transformational life coach, certified and accredited EFT practitioner, and a Reiki master, and a yoga instructor, and she blends all of those things together in the work that she does with her clients. We are celebrating the birth of something very special here today. Would you tell us a little bit about that, Gillian?
Yes, I'd love to, Nancy. So basically, this is my baby. I just published my first book. It's called The Journey of the Soul Within, and it's a book of poetry, a couple of short stories and poetry about healing and transformation. So to show you here, The Journey of the Soul Within.
What would you say, what was the role of EFT tapping in getting this baby to be born into the world?
So basically, because I'm a part of NEFTI, I do the masterminds with Nancy, and I had been writing poetry for about a year and have been receiving nice comments and people telling me I should compile them and write a book. And I kept brushing it off and thinking, oh, that's silly. Nobody would get what I'm writing about, and my writing wouldn't be good enough, and who would want to read it, and all these thoughts. Although every time it would come up, I would feel more and more excited. So I knew something was there because I have to trust the energy behind it, the passion I was feeling. And so in one of Nancy's classes, I did some tapping on that. And what came up first was fear of failure. So, right, fear, who's going to want to read my stuff? Who's going to be interested in it? Mm-hmm. So we tapped through that. And then there wasn't much fear around that. Then it was fear of success. Right? So it was basically, I'm worried people are going to judge me, thinking that I'm too much. Right. Who is she? You know, small town girl from Belleville to have a book. So then we tapped on that, and then I'm feeling better, but something's not quite right. So Nancy and her detective work, which we learned through the training, which I'll talk about later, kept probing, using more probing questions. And then what came up was, it's going to be so much work. I'm already busy as it is. And yeah, sure, it'd be nice to have these inspirational stories and poems that might help people. But, for me to I was looking at the end picture and feeling overwhelmed. So then tap, 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 which I'll get into later as well, working through that it's going to be too much, right? So releasing that fear, that block that could very well have held me back had it not been for the tapping. I might not even have this book, because all these fears would be holding me back from taking the first steps to move through it.
I love what you're saying, Gillian, because the world is beginning to understand that emotional freedom techniques is a really powerful way to reduce stress and relieve some symptoms, to really reduce the suffering that we're experiencing. But what you're talking about is something different. You're talking about peak performance and creating the life that we want to live now.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you can't if you're this wonderful idea, this thought about, oh, I'd like to implement this or create this or do this, but with all these fears and blocks and these what ifs, well, what if it doesn't work out, or what if this happens, what if that happens, are in your way, then it basically limits or even sometimes prevents the flow of creativity, right? And the energy flow to come to let things flow smoothly.
Yes, exactly. And I know, since I've had the honor of journeying with you for a few years, I know that you didn't get into that mastermind class and start tapping on letting the book flow through you without a whole bunch of other stuff that happened first.
Definitely.
Would you share what you would be willing
Sure.
to share around your own personal journey, and then how that fits in with what you do with your clients today?
Right. Yeah, definitely. So I first started seeing Nancy probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was experiencing debilitating panic attacks, extreme anxiety, which was preventing me from living my life. And I was basically not even surviving at that point in time. And I asked the universe one day, there has to be something that can come from within, that I don't have to take medications or drops or rescue remedy, homeopathics, which was what I was doing at the time, to feel better, right? So I found Nancy through the likes of the universe. She showed up on my screen one day, emotional freedom techniques, because I put it out there. So I started working with Nancy, and some days couldn't even barely drive to see her for my own sessions because the panic was so bad. So I worked with Nancy for about a good year, and then I thought I would just be doing the emotional freedom techniques. I thought, well, once the anxiety's gone, then that's it. I won't need EFT anymore.
Right.
Right. So, but then I just saw my life taking off and flourishing and starting to really enjoy life. And I got that passion back and excitement. And so it was wonderful. And then I heard about the Nancy's Harness program to become certified trainer to help others using EFT. So I jumped on board with that, and let me tell you, it's one of the best things that I ever did. So not only was I able to take the symptoms of anxiety and panic that I was experiencing, heal and transform it for my own life and family and my friends, it impacts your entire world. But also be able to take her program and learn how to be able to help other people, help to be able to guide them through their challenges of what they're experiencing.
You're so inspiring watching you blossom and continue to expand, because you've taken that training and certification and gone and added other things to it. So tell us a bit about that and how that all fits into the kind of work that you do today.
Right. So probably a couple of years later, I was introduced to quantum EFT, which is tapping into past lives and mining the Akash. With quantum EFT, we're tapping on a past life, for example, but you're using the exact same mechanisms that you use with EFT. You're just tapping on unresolved or unhealed karma, or upsets from past lives back as thousands of years ago that are still impacting us today. So I've taken the EFT from what I learned from Nancy and have expanded it with the matrix reimprinting, with the quantum EFT. So powerful, and it helps people just shift from feeling stuck and debilitated, anxious in life, to actually feeling fulfilled and joyful in their life.
And you're such a great example, right? Your own personal experience and what you've done with your own life. You know, as you said, when we met, there was a lot of tension and constraint and suffering going on. And
Yeah.
And then it just began to open, and now you're so so solid in the creation phase of, okay, what do I want to do with all this joyful energy that I'm experiencing?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So do you have any last words that you would like to say to people that might encourage them to take the training in emotional freedom techniques with the National Institute?
Well, definitely. I think anybody who is working with anybody, honestly, I can't imagine nowadays any field where people wouldn't benefit from using EFT, even if they don't use it with a client, but for themselves at home, for the stress that they may pick up from their job, that they can release that stress and not take it into their own home, into their own family, into their own lives. So number one. Number two is bringing it into the schools or the hospitals or communities, any type of corporation, because really, who doesn't experience stress?
Absolutely.
So especially when you're working with other people and you have different types of personalities, and especially if you are some sort of coach or counselor, or working directly helping people help their lives, right? Those are the people that are going to benefit most from EFT.
I think we're basically saying everybody.
That's what I said. I just honestly, I can't imagine. It changed my life. It saved my life. And it's helping. There's no way I would be able to help other people who have anxiety if it weren't for EFT. There's no other way I would know how to safely and properly do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The message about safety, right? Because there are lots of ways that you can help people change their energy, but it's not necessarily always safe for the client in the long term. So that's something that we pay such great attention to here.
Right, and getting to the core of what is going on with that person. There's so many, lots of amazing techniques and things you could ingest to feel better, but are they getting to the core and making life-changing moments for those people?
So I guess what we're saying is that we would love everybody to explore where emotional freedom techniques might fit in their life. And
Yeah.
they would like to take training in that to be able to help themselves and to help others, then contact the National Institute. I'd be happy to speak to you. And if you're looking more for personal work, then connect with Gillian and have a conversation with you about how you could help them to meet their goals.
Right.
And so I know the website is EFT-transform.com, and people can connect with you specifically via email. They should email Gillian at EFT-transform.com. And I'm sure you'd be happy to have a conversation with them too, to explore the fit and what kind of help you can do to them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Gillian. I appreciate your time. And as you know, I just have the utmost respect for your journey, and I'm thrilled to have been a piece of that with you.
And thank you so much, Nancy. I just don't know where I'd be, honestly, without you, without your training, without your support. Yeah, it's amazing. And without this.
Absolutely.
Because when you're overwhelmed and anxious, you cannot write a book. You can't create. It just blocks your creativity. So thank you.
You're welcome. And the book is available at Amazon.ca, Amazon.com, other online booksellers. Really encourage people to pick up a copy and allow themselves to be inspired by your journey.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.